RF shop. Military is full of different people, different backgrounds. The melting pot with that becomes different religions. Today we're going to do a little refresher over free exercise of religion. We're going to go over the definitions, guidance, the chaplain corps, religious accommodation, procedures for accommodations, and the resources we have. A couple definitions. Religious freedom. The right of service members to observe their tenets of their respective religions or to observe no religion at all. Religious accommodation. Allowing or providing for individual expressions of sincerely held beliefs, conscious moral principles, or religious beliefs, unless doing so would have an adverse effect on military readiness, unit cohesion, and good order and discipline. There's a constitutional foundation for this. The First Amendment guarantees your freedom of religion, the right to believe or not to believe. The Free Exercise Clause, not to be confused with Santa Claus. Congress shall make no law prohibiting the free exercise of religion. The Free Exercise Clause protects our right to observe religious beliefs as we choose. Belief. Nothing in this chapter shall be construed to authorize any government to burden any religious belief. Freedom of belief is always protected. Expression. Actions and speech, religious expression may be restricted by military necessity. If something conflicts with the mission, it might not allow you to exercise at that time. The Department of Defense instruction. Accommodation of religious practices within the military services. The military departments will accommodate individual expressions of sincerely held beliefs unless there is an adverse impact on military readiness, unit cohesion, and good order and discipline. So if your religion has something that is going to conflict with the military's mission, or if you need to go do something that's going to conflict with the mission, you might not be allowed to exercise that at that time. Air Force instruction. AFI 1-1 Air Force Standards, Free Exercise of Religion and Religious Accommodation states, every airman also has the right to individual expressions of sincerely held beliefs to include conscious moral principles or religious beliefs unless those expressions would have an adverse impact on military readiness, unit cohesion, good order, discipline, health and safety, or mission accomplishment. The Chaplain Corps. The chaplains are there to advise commanders and serve unit members. So if commanders or anybody have a question about what they can and can't do, they're there to answer those. Communication with the chaplain is considered privileged information. So if you share something with them, they're not going to share it unless it is going to something that you could cause harm to yourself or somebody else or detrimental to the mission. Religious accommodation. Individual rights are valued but cannot be guaranteed in all circumstances, going back to if it conflicts with the mission. Commanders and supervisors will show equal respect for individual practices. So your commander, supervisor, even your peers, they cannot belittle you or make fun of you for having beliefs or not having beliefs in certain areas. Religious accommodation. There's 5 major areas. I'll let you look over that for just a second. The first 2 are maybe a little bit more minor, that's why it's up to the commander. But when you get to a little more serious things that might affect more aspects of the shop or the mission, it needs to go a little bit higher to somebody else to make that decision. Procedures for accommodations for non-waiverable items. Individual submits written request for religious accommodation to supervisor and Force Support Squadron, FSS. FSS refers request to installation commander. Installation commander is advised by the chaplain and JA. Installation commander makes determination or refers request to appropriate authority. So there is a certain order of what you should do. If this doesn't get it done, we'll have to find another way also. There are a few examples here. An airman would like to attend base chapel service during duty hours. The chapel service does not conflict with mission essential duties or taskings of the squadron. Does anybody have an idea which answer it might be? Didn't think so. The supervisor denies the request and tells the airman to go to church on his or own time? No, that's not it. The supervisor seeks guidance from the chaplain and JA. maybe, the supervisor grants the request to accommodate the airman's religious practices. That would be the more likely answer. It's not something that's going to conflict with the mission, and it's not detrimental to anything else. We should go ahead and let him go to his services. Slide. One more example. An airman would like to wear a religious headdress as part of his or her uniform. This one might be a little more in-depth than the previous one. As we talked earlier, there is a certain step path you should go to if you need something like this. The correct answer, I believe, would be B. The supervisor encourages the airman to submit a letter to FSS to begin the process of a religious accommodation request to the installation commander. And the slide y'all have always been waiting for, the conclusion. I appreciate your time, guys.